Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, man. And today we're going to be talking about my baits for the month of February. Let's go. All right, guys. So the month of February, the month of love, right? Kind of funny, you can actually see the red sometimes in the bass's eye. We joke about it sometimes, me and a few buddies of mine. You can see the love in their eyes, right? And I swear to God, the bass will have red eyes this time of year. And, that brings me to think about the color red. This is the time of year, man, when you guys need to start thinking about the color red. Your oranges, your orange bellies on crankbaits, your red and orange chatterbaits, your soft plastics that might have, some red flake or orange flake in them. We're going to talk about all these today, guys. We're going to kind of break it down in 5 categories because I have a lot of baits and colors that I like to throw in the spring. First category is, your regular crankbaits, from deep divers to mid to shallow. Your lipless crankbaits, your chatterbaits, your big swim baits, and your finesse smaller jig head swim baits. And then your soft plastics, which I only throw crawls in the spring, primarily. So let's get into it, guys. So the month of February is a true pre-spawn month for bass fishing down here in the South. In Florida, they're already kind of moving up, maybe on bed already. And, all we're doing here in Alabama, Georgia and the southern states is kind of, watching the weather real closely to see, paying attention to those highs at night. We just came off like a major cold spell. It kind of warmed up. It warmed up after that. We had some real mild weather. And now it's starting to gradually even out again, which, that's what we like to see. Where I'm praying, myself, hopefully, for not another cold front. Don't want any more cold fronts, man. Us Southerners don't like that cold. Or I don't anyway. But yeah, so, the lows at night, we're looking for those lows to stay the same. In the 50s gradually, and that's, kind of an indication when it's go time. These bass will really start moving. But you may see that closer to the end of February, going into March, depending on the weather. But that's kind of what you're looking for. So the baits of February, let's get into the crankbaits, the first category. These fish, are probably going to be, start pulling up to the secondary points, the main lake points, leading into the flats, and they're going to start feeding up heavy. They're going to want to feed up big time, for the long spawn. I mean, like I said, this is the true pre-spawn month of February and even into March. And I'm going to target some of those deeper bass, with the deep diving crankbait. And to me, there's no better way to do that than the tactical DD. This, man, I've caught a lot of big ones on this thing. I love this crankbait a whole lot. And oh, by the way, I'm only picking out my favorites here, guys, in these categories. I got a lot of favorites, but we'll try to breeze through them here. But yeah, that tactical DD is probably my overall favorite crankbait. To catch them deeper, ledges, points, stuff like that as they start moving. As they start moving in waves leading up to the flats and the coves and pockets and things like that. So that's my number one. For you guys that are in your rockier lakes, man, you guys know about this Spro rock crawler. Phenomenal freaking bait. And then you can get into your yacht garages, You know, this is like an olive green color with some blue and green flake in it, you know, orange belly. That's a straight fish catcher. All these crankbaits, if you notice, are all flat sides. You know, that water temp's still going to be, you know, in the 50s, and it's still going to be pretty chilly. So you still want your crankbait with a tight wobble, you know, as it's coming through the water. You want a tight wobble still. I think that's what those fish are going to relate to more than anything. So here's one from Shimano, the Shimano flat, in a shad pattern. And then, you know, your Berkeley Fritz sides. You know, here's a 9 in a shad pattern, and then a, you know, a Berkeley Fritz side and a 5 in the crawl pattern. Those are just some of my favorites. Getting into the lipless crankbaits, and a couple I'm really excited about are the new Nomad Swim Treks. I love this color. I talked about this in a previous video. Thread fin shad. I mean, this paint job, I mean, looks just like a thread fin. It's crazy. That thing is going to be awesome. And then the new, I just picked this one up, and this one's called a Raid Japan Level Vibe. I got it in this color right here. I just love it. It's got, you know, chartreuse, kind of yellow, you know, fades up into a red, and then, you know, it's just a beautiful muddy water color, and it's a sinking action. So, you know, you're going to be able to yo-yo this thing, fish it in multiple ways. I'm super excited about that one. And then, you know, your staple that's been catching it for a long time is a Lucky Craft LV 500. Man, I've caught a lot of freaking fish on this thing, man. I mean, this is just one of the best lipless crankbaits to me that they make. I mean, you can see the teeth marks in that thing. I mean, I've caught a lot of good fish on this thing, man. And then, you know, I got a few of the lipless Team Arc Elite Z's, and you know, right there in the shad pattern. And then I got some golds with orange belly for stained water. You know, guys, you're gonna deal with some stained water in the spring, so just keep that in mind. And you know, but there's certain baits that, you know, when they move up, you know, they're just gonna crush. Gold shines in stained water. You know, your reds, your oranges, stuff like that. So no, you know, be willing to adapt. You know, when it comes to stained water and muddy water. Just a little tip, right quick. You know, to add to your crankbaits, you can add that treble with the little, you know, the little blade there on the end for some extra shine, to make these baits, you know, kind of stand apart from the others. I think that's important for this time of year because, you know, they're going to be chasing shad and crawls and everything like that crazy. So that little extra blade with extra shine, you know, can get you some more bites. Moving on to, you know, your chatterbaits. I only throw the new, or, you know, the Z-Man jackhammers and the Ebo Elite jackhammers. You know, I got one in the brim. You know, for, you know, all you brim guys out there, it's got, you know, some new blades the Evo does. I really like these blades that they come out with, you know, so that's your brim pattern. Absolute beautiful chatterbait, and I got it paired up with Hog Farmers, Spunk Shads, and, you know, and then, you know, here's your orange and red one. Like I said, something about that red in the spring. So, you know, there's your, you know, your jackhammer, and I got it, you know, paired up with a little beefier trailer. I forget the name of that thing, but, and then, you know, of course, your shad patterns, you know, for clear water situations. But I'm going to tell you one right here that, man, I'll tell you, this thing right here has been the juice for me. This gold one right here, and then I got it paired up with this, you know, this Hog Farmer Spunk Shad right there. I think it's called Tennessee Magic is what that is. And then I got it paired up with this. I think it kind of mimics a perch. I think it, you know, if you're fishing it on the bottom, you know, can mimic a crawl. I don't know, but there is something special about this thing right here in off-color water, stained water. I have absolutely mopped them up in the spring with this thing. So you guys check that thing out in that color. It's awesome, man. Freaking awesome. So here's the biggest thing I'm going to try this year that I have yet to try, and I think is going to shine in stained water, and that's the big blade chatterbait. I've yet to fish this thing, and I mean, as you can see, it's loud in colors. I mean, it's bright orange, you know, chartreuse skirt, you know, white skirt going into orange, and I got that paired up with a chartreuse bottom and blue top hog farmer spunk shad. I think, man, I don't know what it is, man, but you know, they say rule of thumb that, you know, some of the biggest bass spawn the earliest and then the latest. So, you know, I think once those big ones move up, because you know, they're solitary predators, you know, they're once they get big, man, you know, they become territorial and they're solitary. So, you know, I feel like, you know, once they move up, they're always going to be ahead of the other fish. And, you know, big fish can tolerate colder water. You know, so keep that in mind. Super excited to see if this thing's going to get some big bites, man, because this thing coming through the water, you know, displacing all that water and that thump that big blade's going to put off, this thing could generate some huge bites. And I just got a feeling about it. I'm super excited to fish it this spring. So let's see, moving on to, you know, of course you always got to have finesse stuff, and you know your underspins, and I got that paired with the Largo shad because the Largo shad has a little bit of a tighter action to it, a tighter swimming action. That's that Dirty Jigs Tactical Bassin mini underspin is what that is. You know, then you're gonna have the BMC jig heads, or another jig head, you know, to put on for your mid-strolling, hover strolling techniques. The VMC jig head is a great one in the 3/16. I've heard a lot about that 3/16. That's the magic weight right there that's going to give it that good side-to-side wobble as you're popping your spinning rod coming through the water. Those 3/16 I tried to look for forever. You just cannot find them. But I did find these, and these are the Angler Tungsten Eclipses, and these are actually tungsten when the BMC are just lead. So you're going to be able to feel a little bit more bottom contact out of this thing, and I think this thing is going to fish just as good as that VMC head. And then I got it paired up with that Rapala Crush City freeloader. You know, those, man, I am high on these Crush City baits. Like, these things are going to be freaking awesome. And the Gizzard Shad. And then, you know, I got a Demiki rig. You know, if I have to tie it up, you know, I will, you know, for them really deeper fish. But so, you know, that's kind of your finesse techniques. Moving on from that, you know, we'll get into, you know, the big swim baits. You know, here's the new Hangover. You know, super excited to fish this thing. It comes in, you know, sink, mid sink, and then, you know, slow sink. I got the mid sink one in the Gizzard Shad. Super excited to fish this thing this year. It's a line through, you know, which those baits seem to be getting real popular. So when you hook the fish, you know, this will go up the line, and the fish will, you know, will be stuck on that treble, and there won't be that much leverage for them to shake the bait out of their mouth. This is my first line through I've gotten, so I'm pretty excited about it. I think this is going to be a pure fish catcher. I know Milliken over there is just smashing giants on it, so excited to fish that. And then the Berkeley Nessie. I've already tested this thing out. It's the first soft plastic glide bait. And man, this thing looks unbelievable in the water. Super freaking realistic. It's a very, very slow sink. So, you know, it'll either bring fish, you know, from a ways, you know, out of the depths, or you know, when they're shallow, you're just gonna kill them on it because it's just unbelievable realistic. It's super realistic, and you know, it only takes like a pop of the rod to work this thing so easy. It's super easy to fish. You don't have to have heavy gear, you know, to fish this on at all. Super excited about this swim bait. And then I got a couple 6-inch traces in the 6-inch and then the 5-inch, both shad pattern, conjointed swim bait. Haven't really had a chance to fish these much, but I'm definitely going to. Can't wait to catch some big ones on this. I have a goal this year to, you know, catch a lot more big ones and a lot more fish on some big swim baits. So when that happens, guys, I'm definitely going to put out a video because I'm going to be dedicated to it, and I'm gonna catch them on that thing. So moving on to your soft plastics, the final category. 4 of my favorite soft plastics that I like. I'll start with the Ultra Speed Crawl. Man, these things have been phenomenal for me. Even bed fishing have been, you know, really good for me. Man, these are just a special bait, you know, these speed crawls. Moving on to, you know, the Strike King Rage Crawl. Man, this thing right here has been an absolute killer for years. You know, everybody uses these. This particular color is called motor oil. It's got a little bit of orange flake in it. And then, you know, actually, this is the one that the one up on the wall here, I caught on this color, you know, 2 years ago in March. You know, this color is freaking awesome to me. And the one I'm really excited about is the, you know, another Crush City bait, the Rapala Crush City Bronco Bug. Man, this thing right here, I've already done some research on it, watched videos on it, and it's got, you know, it's the only crawl that has the hinge in it. You know, so when it, you know, it's on the bottom, you know, it's always gonna sit up top. This thing is gonna be an absolute killer. I know I'm gonna catch a ton of fish on it this spring. Super cool that it has these secondary action little flappers on it. You know, that, you know, those move when it's going down. Oh man, this thing is just gonna be freaking phenomenal. I can't wait to catch them on this thing. It's durable, you know. You know, obviously you're gonna Texas rig all these, but you know what's cool about this plastic too, it'll Texpose your hook, you know, so your hook will be in there in those little ridges right there, Texpose, which is pretty awesome. So those are 4 of my favorite crawls. And oh, one other thing, sorry. These crawls right here, I like a red flake watermelon seed. You know, if you notice, every single one of these crawls have a red flake in them. Something, like I said, right back to red again. There's something special about red this time of year, or the whole springtime. So, you know, I like them with a little bit of red flake. It makes a big difference. And then here's a little tip for you guys too. Man, get you guys some JJ's Magic, or, you know, Spike, or whatever you want to do, and, you know, dip your, you know, match your green pumpkins or whatever that you're fishing with. You know, if you want to dip them in chartreuse. I'm a big fan of the orange. The methylate is a killer for me. I love dipping that one with the motor oil because it's already got orange in it. That methylate is freaking awesome. And then of course your blood red. Your blood red, you can dip all your, you know, your flappers, your crawl legs, and all that stuff in. There's something special about this, man, in the spring that's going to get you guys some extra bites. I swear by JJ's Magic in the springtime. Yeah, man, these JJ Magics and your dipping, you know, garlic dips are magical, you know, this time of year in the spring. So just a little tip for you guys. Yeah, I think that, oh, one more thing. I think later on in February, you know, don't forget about topwaters. You know, that's going to become a player here very soon. You know, your wake baits maybe first, like your subsurface type topwaters. You know, the Berkeley Nessie that, you know, it basically is a topwater. You know, so I think topwater's, you know, right around the corner too. That's probably really going to start ramping up. You know, the end of February, and then obviously all March, and you know, and then from that point on, all summer long. But yeah, so you know, don't forget about your top waters later on this month. But yeah, guys, I think that's gonna do it for my baits of February. Man, you guys get out there and get ready for the funnest, you know, funnest time of year. You know, when it comes to bass fishing or fishing, probably in general. I know we're itching. I'm itching to get out there and, you know, catch some big ones. And this is by far my favorite time of year to fish. I mean, the pre-spawn is right in my wheelhouse, man. I mean, if that was my way to catch them, man, that's my favorite right there. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope I helped you out with some of these baits. You guys get out there and have some fun and catch some nice fish and hopefully some big ones. We'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks.